the day you quit your day job, you fired off a $90,000 bid.
That I won, by the way, eat glass for 18 to 24 months. Just chew it. That's what you do. I'll wave to you from my retirement villa in my 50s while you're still working.
What's up, Amazon sellers, and welcome back to the Clear the Shelf podcast with myself and my internecine co-host, Chris Rasick. Our guest this week is Jay-Z, known on Twitter as @flippinforgold. Jay-Z is a 20-year tech veteran turned Amazon seller, turned land clearing business owner, and also a great follow on Twitter. In just 2 years of selling on Amazon, he closed 2025 at about, I believe, 844,000 in sales with close to 20% net margins, while averaging just 10 hours a week on the Amazon side of his business, while working a full-time job, which blows my mind. So one of the reasons I know that we wanted to have him on is because of what he did with these profits. He took those Amazon profits and rolled them into a completely different venture. If I'm not mistaken, it's a forestry, mulching, and land clearing business. So we're talking over 200K in heavy equipment. We're talking employees, six-figure bids going out, and he'd never driven a piece of heavy equipment before he bought one. And then he was able to quit his job in January of this year. And fortunately for us, was able to pull off the Anon account. And now we get to meet him and chat with him. So today we're going to dig into how he built his Amazon business, how he used those profits as a launchpad. We're also going to talk about what AI looks like in practice for a seller who's got the technical chops to back it up, and how he did all of this juggling a 9 to 5. Till he didn't need one anymore anyway. Jay-Z, thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Big fan of the podcast and excited to be here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Now, before we get started, you guys know the drill. This show isn't free. We spend minutes preparing for each one of these episodes. So if you get some value from the show, do us a solid, pound the like button, hit subscribe, drop a comment. The best way for us to grow this podcast is by getting you to interact with the show and letting us know you want to see more content like this. You keep your end of the bargain with that digital handshake, and we'll keep showing up and bringing you some education mixed with a little entertainment, of course. All right, let's dive in. Jay-Z, let's set the table a little bit. You know, you've got this 20-year career, IT security, right?
IT infrastructure and security, yeah.
Okay, all right. I don't know what that means, but we'll find out. Of all the side hustles in the world, what made you land on Amazon while you were doing your 9 to 5?
Yeah, great question. And the story, and I'll try to keep it not boring. The story really starts several years ago, right? So, and this will eventually lead to the AI conversation, right? So, in the places that I was working at in tech, the last 10 years of my career has been enterprise. A lot of that, I did some consulting for the U.S. government, TSA, DHS. And the last 5 or 6 years has been commercial enterprise. We've been deploying AI solutions for 5 or 6 years now. And, you know, after various iterations of these solutions being deployed, I started to see the trend, you know, even 5 years ago. I thought, dadgum, you know, if this gets any better, that could do what a human does. And then, you know, a year later, like, oh crap, it's getting even better than that. And then finally, I told my wife a couple of years ago, we need an exit plan. There's an expiration date for the work I do at the level I want to do it at. Let me be clear, right? So, and this is something we can get deeper into in the conversation, but maybe not an expiration date for me, but an expiration date for me at the level I want to operate at. I've got a family, I've got 4 kids, I've got lots of interests outside of a 40-hour-a-week job. So we started looking for something that could supplement and possibly replace our income. And we tried a couple of things before selling on Amazon, and hated them, didn't work, didn't like it. And, you know, I was actually pretty active on X under a different account This is nothing compared to you guys, but had a couple thousand followers, started looking around for stuff, and your friend Flips for Miles shows up on my feed. I start digging into what he's doing. Think, dang, I could do that. So let's give it a try. So we started setting up our infrastructure to sell on Amazon in May of 2024. Sold our first product in June of 2024, and here we are. So long story short, it was a method for us to supplement existing income and potentially replace income. It made sense. It was something my wife could help with. It was something my kids can and do help with. It was completely different than technology, which is actually a good thing for me. Because that's not something I want to do for the rest of my life. And like I said, I think there's going to be an expiration date on pure tech jobs, at least to some extent. So yeah, it just made a ton of sense.
Yeah, interesting. You mind if I, just because I'm curious, you mind if I ask what some of those things were that you hated that you tried?
Yeah. So I tried, my very first thing I tried was doing what I was doing for my day job on the side, independently. And it was more of the same, and it was difficult to scale, right? So that type of work is very time dependent. You're trading, I mean, not always, but a lot of the times you're trading hours for dollars, and hours are what you have the least amount of. You, me, everybody else, we have 24 hours a day. That's it. And a third of those are sleeping, or at least you should be. And trading hours for dollars is hard. We stepped our toes into a couple of other things. The heavy equipment operations business that we do now, we even tried to look into that as a rental option at first, where we invest in the equipment and we just basically use our money. We arbitrage the money and let other people use it. Where we just have the capital invest tied up in the equipment, other people use it. And again, just not a good business model for a lot of reasons. You got to have a lot of capital. You got to have a lot of infrastructure. So yeah, just those other ones just didn't land. They didn't make sense. They also required a lot of my time. My wife is a stay-at-home mom, and she actually loves Amazon. She'll get home from running around with the kids here in a few hours, and she'll say, "Hey, you want to go sourcing?" It's just a natural fit. It works good. She takes care of most of the Amazon business today, and really, listen, 844K in sales across Amazon and Walmart for a lot of you guys and a lot of your listeners is nothing, right? For us at our margins, it's great. And my wife does most of it now. We source together, she lists, she packs, she ships. She's awesome at it. So it was a perfect fit for us. Natural growth through that. We were about that close last year to making reselling on Amazon business that we chose. And again, we can get into that, but there's some reasons we didn't. But we unlocked the pattern for us about a year in, and we looked at the spreadsheets and we thought, yeah, we could do this. We decided against it as our primary business model, but we were that close to it.
Okay, I definitely want to come back to that because that's interesting. But I am curious, you said that, Flips for Miles, Miles is who showed up on your feed. And I love X especially. I love Twitter a lot. That's my favorite social media platform. I think that the IQ is there as long as you curate your feed. There's a lot of low IQ stuff too. But it seems like it's the platform that is the most on the cutting edge of a lot of things.
100%.
We got to go. We'll find out about it on Facebook in like 45 to 90 days.
Yep.
But how has being on Twitter helped you in all of your businesses?
So I replied to a post from Joe Hart not long ago and I'll bring it up here. Without X, I would not have any of this. The information feed from X, and so you're correct. It's the highest IQ feed of information on the internet right now. Period, hands down. Facebook's not close. YouTube is. I mean, it's good for supplemental stuff, but X is where the latest, the best, and the most amount of useful information is found. So, we flips for Miles. Miles has a fantastic marketing mind. That guy shows up all over X. It just started there, though, right? As soon as you find that one post and as soon as you like it, all these other smart people start showing up. Clear the Shelf shows up. Steve French shows up. Joe Hart shows up. All these other guys that have been wildly helpful start showing up, and you're like, oh, there's an idea. There's an idea. There's an idea. And it allows you to scale your research and information faster than any other platform on the internet.
Yeah.
So you said you closed 2025 with 844,000 in sales.
Yeah.
And you alluded to the margins. The margins, I believe, were about 20% net.
Correct. The CPA hadn't closed out the year yet, but by the back of the napkin, math says we are above 18% margin on that.
Oh, that's great. Now you said you could have done well over $1 million if not for some Walmart issues and time spent being held up by the land clearing business. So for those doing the math at home, that's north of $100,000 of profit on roughly 10 hours a week, which is incredible. Can you break down what your business looks like as far as RA, OA, FBA, and the different models within?
Yeah, and some historical context might be important, right? So we started 2024. I think probably where most Amazon sellers start is OA. You find a product on website X, it's selling for this. And look, Seller Amp Keepa says it's selling for that on Amazon. Cool. Buy, sell. We pushed that really, really hard because we didn't know in the beginning RA existed. We didn't know that was a thing. I mean, naturally, I guess we probably would have figured it out, right? If Walmart's selling the product online, maybe they've got it in store for that price as well. Maybe even cheaper. It just didn't enter our brains in the first couple of months. And then we just through research watching on X, like, all right, maybe, and one of our biggest RA sources in the beginning was Dollar General of all things. And we beat the tar out of Dollar Generals. But it just hit us one day, like maybe there's something in there. And the next thing we know, we're in stores scanning, and Seller Amp's popping up a product at 3 times the margin that we're finding these products online. And for us, it was crazy. We were, it was like a light bulb moment. Like, you mean I can spend 10 minutes in a store and make 3 times the profit it took me to find the same product online? Like, oh yeah, this is where we're going. So breakdown of the business. We are a majority RA business. We have no competition, RA competition we're at. Some of you guys are out in big cities, big areas. I've got no RA competition. The reason I know I have no RA competition is the first time we went through a Dollar General, we were finding leads that some of these RA gurus were finding 18 months prior, still sitting there on the shelf. Like nobody's touched it. We have zero RA competition. And when we realized that, so that was the eye-opening moment. That's how 18% margins are possible on that level of scale. It's heavy RA, zero RA competition in my area, but we supplement with OA. And this year we plan on pushing the OA side of our business even harder because I see some opportunity there. Plus, you guys know as well as I do, RA takes time, right? And time, again, we all have the same 24 hours a day as every other human. So we had to figure out for this year, if we're going into other ventures, how do we keep Amazon running? Do we want to keep it running? And if so, how do we want to adjust the business? So we are adding more OA this year.
Okay. Now, as far as is that 10 hours a week is just you, right? Is your wife put in significantly more?
Yeah.
Or is
that was a cheeky X comment that I made. I only spend 10 hours a week. My wife probably also spends 10 to 15 hours a week, but that's still part-time work, right?
That's still super solid.
And we get our kids. I've got 4 kids. They all participate. Even the 8-year-old, she can detag and a tag from an Ollie's product quick as anybody. So we come in with bags and say, all right, guys, detag time. That keeps us from having to spend countless hours in the warehouse, which is the garage, and doing all this stuff. We still do the high value stuff, the stuff that's important, but we spread the work as we can. It's all in. Family does it. And yeah, that's, one of the things you said in the intro is, how do you do this with a W-2 job? That's how, some folks listening to this podcast aren't going to have that benefit. And I get it. That does make it harder. I was operating on a cheat code, but that's how.
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, especially with the majority of it RA, that's easy for Parkinson's law to kick in and start taking up more of your time. So that's impressive.
And listen, you have to figure out what's important too, right? So here's a classic X comment, RA is not scalable. Well, it's not scalable if you don't want it to be, right? It's not scalable because you approach the conversation with the assumption, the presupposition, I don't want to work 8 hours a day driving around town. Well, okay, yes, it's not scalable for you then, right? There were, in fact, there still are days where, I'll put in a full 8 hours doing something else. Back before January, it would have been my W-2. Right now, I might be out in the machine clearing land, and then I'll come home, eat supper, and we'll go shop for 4 hours. That's a 12-hour work day. I mean, how bad do you want it, right? I don't want to work 12 hours a day. Okay, I'll wave to you from my retirement villa in my 50s while you're still working, right? I mean, I want it more than you. But I'm sorry, it's not ego, it's just the case. How bad do you want it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm a little jealous of the no RA competition. I'm in Central Florida, and my son works for a shoe seller, and I've had to jokingly tell him, like, if you keep your elbows like this, you'll keep people out of your space while you're scanning shoes.
Yeah, well, listen, that's become a key part of our growth model, right? Is so. And we can talk about groups and lead lists and stuff like that too, because we're a member of several. We operate RA like this. We see a lead come through somewhere, we file it away. We don't go buy it for sometimes months, because we let if somebody's found it, a lot of more people has found it. So I don't have the competition. I let the store hold the product. And let the competition leak out from the market. Then I go buy it, and then I sell it for what I want to sell it at versus price fighting. So yeah, I get it. It's a cheat code. It's a cheat code. I won't be the only one forever. My area is not. We're not in backwoods. It's a decent sized town. Somebody will get in the game eventually, but for right now, it's a key part of our model is we sit on product, and we don't sit on it in our warehouse with our capital tied up. We let the store hold it.
Yeah, and he said you're going to expand the OA, or at least that's the plan this year.
That's the plan. Yeah.
So is the VA? You have a recent VA, I guess 18 months now.
Our VA's been with us since almost the beginning. By the way, I saw in your show notes, Chris, mistakes, what mistakes did we make? This is one of them. right? Hiring a VA too quick before we knew how to source. That all being said, we lucked out with our VA. She is phenomenal. She actually takes part in the business. She's offshore. She's Philippines. She helps run our business while we sleep. And at this point in her career, she's got such a keen eye for finding product. And she'll find product at websites that, like, I look at the website and like, how did you find this? Right? This was probably on the 6th page of a Google search, right? When you were, but she's so good. We will not get rid of her at all right now. She's great.
So, okay. So you said you hired too early, which that's a common mistake.
Yeah.
You try to solve a problem instead of solve efficiency. What did the training look like? Did you get to the point where, did she kind of take it on her own, or did you figure it out as you went along?
Yeah. So right now she operates almost 100% independently. We keep in touch via WhatsApp during the week. We meet once a week at the beginning of the week. It's a 5-minute video conference where we talk to her about the week. We go through Seller Central, talk to her about what's been selling, why we think it's selling, why it's good. We tell her for the week, hey, here's what we like, here's what we didn't like. Getting to that point though was tough because, again, we didn't know what we were doing at the beginning. How can you teach somebody to do something when you don't know how to do it? Keep them. That chart looks great. We didn't know what looked great. You have to define good before you can teach good. It was tough at the beginning. I probably lost money on her I haven't done the calculation. I don't want to do the calculation because it'll hurt. Between the bad buys and the salary, who knows how much we lost for how long with her. But beating my head, this is one of the keys to getting where I'm at. I'm stubborn to a fault, and we just kept beating our head against that pattern until we finally got it. And again, she's to the point now where she's fantastic. Wouldn't trade her for anything.
That's awesome. All right, let's dive into kind of the Amazon side before we move into some of the other things. One of the most important things is manufacturing margin, and you've talked about it. Stacking gift cards, cash back, credit card rewards, etc. There was even, and of course, I had AI help me do a deep dive into all your posts, but I think you mentioned spending over $10K at Home Depot with like gift cards that you didn't pay anything for.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through how sellers should think about margin just beyond the buy price and the sell price?
Oh man, there's so many ways to game the system, right? I mean, buy price and sell price is the most important, right? But yeah, golly, that's such a big conversation too. And it's one we to this day, we tweak and optimize across all the businesses, right? A dollar is not the same depending upon where the dollar comes from, who it flows through, how it flows back to you. You guys talk about this on podcasts all the time, right? If it's OA, are you on top cash? Are you buying with a debit card? Well, that's dumb. Don't buy with a debit card. Are you buying with a credit card? Okay, well that's buying with a credit card is better, but are you buying with the best credit card? There's credit card companies love to give out credit limits to businesses, and let's just be clear. When you start a new business, you can lie about your expected revenue. Like, I expect to make $400K this year. Okay, here's a $20,000 credit line. It's the system is so easy to game, and not really breaking your rules. You're just taking advantage of the systems that already exist, optimizing for your dollar flow, and squeezing out extra pieces of margin here and there. And the key is that, American Express, for instance, 2x points times 1x points may not mean a lot to you when you're spending $10, but when you're spending $10,000, it means a ton. So yeah, so one of our advantages is, and this is a huge recommendation that I can make. You for credit, you need to have relationships with banks. We've got a long-standing relationship with American Express. We've had personal card with American Express for almost 20 years. We've got checking accounts with American Express. When I went to American Express for my very first card that I was going to use for my Amazon business, they gave me $25,000 right there because the relationship was already established. That's so super important. And every time I open a new card, I don't question the limit anymore. They just throw me a ton because the relationship is there. But yeah, the Home Depot gift cards, I don't know the time frame. I don't spend money at Home Depot anymore. I turn all my Amex points into Home Depot gift cards. They convert 1 for 1. 1 point equals 1 cent. And if we need something for the house, we buy it at Home Depot. We don't pay for it. That's margin, right? That's money that otherwise would have came out of your bank account.
Mm-hmm. How important has that been to like your overall profitability in the business versus just finding better leads, at least on the OA side? I know the RA side's a little different.
It's not critical, but it's the difference in a really profitable business versus a kind of profitable business, right? The core of buying and selling still comes down to, can you get it for cheaper than you sell it for? That calculus never changes. That math never changes. Can you get it for cheaper than you're selling it for? But then the next question, though, once you've optimized for that, right? Because that's the first part of the journey. Can I go buy it for $5, sell it, cover the Amazon fees, cover the shipping fees, cover my storage fees, plus make a few dollars? If you can do that, none of this other stuff means a ton. If you can't do that, again, none of that other stuff means anything if you can't do that core thing. But if you can, the next thing you figure out is, okay, how do I optimize that? If I don't do anything, I make $5. But if I do this and I pull this lever and I tweak this and I tweak that, next thing you know, I make $5 in core cash, plus I've got a little bit coming back from top cash, plus I've got some points that equal this from American Express, plus I use this gift card from Arbitrage Card over here that gets me a few extra percentage points. Then I multiply that times how many tens of thousands of dollars that I'm spending per month on inventory. Next thing you know, you go from a profitable business to a really profitable business. Both of them pay the bills. One of them pays the bills better.
So you once used Grok to model what it takes to get to $100,000 a month in sales, starting with just $10,000 in capital, and you calculated it using 15% margins. The answer Grok gave you was almost a year and a half of reinvesting every single dollar, right?
Yeah.
A lot of sellers don't think about that math. That's a much longer time frame than the get rich quick audience wants to hear. What do you wish more people understood about the financial reality of scaling?
Yeah. First, don't quit your day job until you're where you've got your business. The only way I was able to get here is not quitting my day job until I had my businesses where I wanted them to be. We also slowed our scale because we took money out too fast at a couple of points. It's just math. You can't beat the math. If you want to grow a cost of goods based business, which this is, the only way to grow the business is to spend more the next month than you made this month. That's it. There's nothing else you can do. You can't beat that math. Math wins every single time. Now, obviously, there's nuance to that, right? There's quarter four, right? Where everybody makes money there. But regardless, you have to be mentally disciplined to understand the math. Again, pull the right levers. that model I did with Grok was a 5-minute question that I did just because I was interested, and I assumed 15% margins, right? Well, if you can pull that lever, squeeze that margin higher, then your growth is either faster or you're taking money out quicker. If your margin goes lower, the opposite happens. You grow slower, or it's a longer time. So you got to stay disciplined in all of the metrics that make that math possible. But the core principle is 100% universal across any cost of goods based business. I don't care if you're Walmart or if you're a guy getting started selling on Amazon today. Is look at the future. Where do I need my business to be? Okay, I want to be at $1 million in sales at above 10% margins. Cool. Very respectable goal. You could make a decent living doing that and be really comfortable. Work backwards using math. You can't take money out, not for a while. If you squeeze your margin up above 10, yeah, it's going to be faster, but you cannot take money out for a defined period of time, and it's just math.
Something I actually really like something that you've said, and this is a lot of people will say that selling on Amazon is stupid because you can't sell an arbitrage business, or which I've debunked, but you can't sell an arbitrage business. There's no exit strategy, et cetera, and so on. And you've said that Amazon doesn't have to necessarily be your end goal for it to be useful. Like it can be a means to an end. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily have that view. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit and expand on it?
Yeah. So I actually still think Amazon's one of the easiest businesses to start. I having started another business, I can tell you it's one of the easiest business to start. I mean, let me think about I had to go get an LLC, 5 minutes on busy.com. I didn't even have to get the LLC. I did before we started, but I didn't even have to. Amazon eventually wanted some liability insurance. I mean, big deal. 5 minutes, go to the Hartford, sign up, get your liability insurance. It's nothing. The barriers to entry are so low. It's such an easy business to start. So you ask yourself, do I want that to be my primary business? Maybe you do. Great. We looked last year, and I alluded to this already. Last summer, we were looking really hard at the Amazon business, at our personal goals as a family, and where we see the economy, the world going. We decided Amazon should not be our only business, but it presented such a fantastic way to bootstrap another business. And so that's what we did. We were spinning, the flywheel was finally spinning enough to where I said, we can take this money, funnel it into another business that fits our goals a little bit better. And honestly, we keep the flywheel running. There's no reason to shut Amazon down. And now we have two verticals that we can maintain, pull cash flow from. If one's hurting a little, the other helps. If both of them are wildly successful, great, we're millionaires. But it gave us some outlets, and Amazon represented such an easy way to bootstrap the other business. You don't have to resell forever. There's nothing wrong with I just want to make a few thousand extra dollars a month. Great, you absolutely can. It does not have to be your all in. I do think even in the short 2 years that we've been selling, it's harder now than it was 2 years ago. For those of you guys that started back in COVID, all I hear is Amazon was a money printer back then. I wish I would have started back then. But again, that brings up another point. The best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is now, right? It's only going to get harder tomorrow. So just do it. Right? You can just do things. You don't have to have permission. Just go do things.
Yeah, I agree with that. And since you've seen it, you started another business. You said that all business is hard.
Yeah.
I don't know what about, because a lot of other businesses, especially from Amazon sellers, other businesses get glorified. What has been hard about the other business that you just don't have in the Amazon business?
Oh, let me tell you, managing employees, right? So I still can't afford a full-time employee. When I get a job that needs more than me, managing employees is a nightmare. I've managed employees before in my W-2, and it's even harder, managing them in person, especially on demand. That's tough. Capital requirements for starting other businesses can be prohibitively expensive for some people. That's how Amazon helped us. I had capital to go lay down at the table to start that land clearing business that I would not have had otherwise. And it lowered the barrier of entry to that other business. The other business requires permitting, licensing. I'm going through right now studying for contractor licenses because I've got to have them to bid on bigger jobs, municipal jobs, commercial jobs. Insurance requirements are just astronomical. When you drive a 50,000-pound bulldozer, wouldn't you know it, you have to have more liability coverage than you do just selling toys on Amazon. So I mean, there's is the business fancy? I guess so. Could I potentially in a couple of years get to a $2 million run rate with 50% margins? I could. There's construction businesses that do it. But you want the easier path, sell on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's easier, just is.
Interesting. I've also heard you or seen you mention that, does Amazon remain part of your cash flow strategy in the future? And right now it sounds like, yeah, at least for the foreseeable future. What would make you walk away?
Yeah, realistically, what would make me walk away is becoming successful enough in the other business that the time commitment of Amazon no longer made sense, right? So in other words, the dollars per hour commitment and generation, everything we do is data driven, right? We emotional driven decisions was at the beginning. We don't do that anymore. If I look down and see, all right, I'm still having to spend 10 hours a week on my Amazon business, and it's only generating this amount of net revenue, where if I took that 10 hours and I just put it over here into this bucket, I would 1.5, 2x, 3x that revenue generation. That's when you start talking about shutting the other one down. That all being said, it's not the only thing in the calculus, right? The safety outlet is a good one as well. If something happens, God forbid I go break both my hips falling out of a bulldozer and I can't work for a while. Well, I mean, Amazon represents a place I can go spend time and not have to be physically able to do what I need to do in the land business. So it just makes a ton of sense to keep around right now. It makes a ton of sense to keep around for the foreseeable future. If you're smart, and I don't even mean like 130 IQ smart, if you just make the right decisions, talk to the right people, have the right network, it still represents such an easy way to make money, even in 2026.
Need to snip that one and share that as a clip. Couldn't agree more. So, it's funny. I keep seeing this theme, even back when you were in IT, you proactively steady the ladder underneath you, even if the jump from business to business doesn't make sense in my head. I don't know how you get from IT to Amazon to land clearing, but the theme is the same. It seems like it's all based on a steady foundation, and kind of a safety net. And I do, if you don't mind, I'd love to get into the land clearing business now.
Yeah.
Always fascinated with what sellers do with their profits and to build the empire, so to speak. So correct me if I'm wrong. The time frame is you went from registering your LLC in August of last year, 2025, to completing your first job in September
Yep.
And then the day you quit your day job, you fired off a $90,000 bid.
That I won, by the way, and have.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And
walk us through how that goes from idea to execution.
Yeah. So ideation is important, right? Because you brought up a good point. How do you go from tech to reselling to driving a bulldozer with a mulcher on the front of it, right? There's actually a very thought through calculus there, which may end up leading to the latter half of this discussion. So my tech job turned me into an AI doomer. You may have seen me I have not talked about tech and AI on my timeline a lot because it really was not aligned with the reason I had my X account in the first place, was to connect with and make good connections in the reseller space. But I've been an AI doomer for quite a while now. I'm not saying it's going to take over the world and we're all going to go living in huts. Not saying that. What I am saying is that it's going to squeeze the information worker market harder and harder the further we get down the road. Land clearing, physical jobs, HVAC, electricity, plumbing. These are the types of jobs that have a couple of things that make it harder to squeeze by an LLM, an AI agent. A lot of them are relationship based, human-to-human contact. A lot of them, well, all of them require a physical interaction. You know, I don't think Elon's Optimus robot's going to come fix my plumbing yet. It will one day. But again, I'm positioning myself to be the guy that owns the robots. So, but my point being, there's less room to squeeze by replacement of intelligence in those areas. Specifically, land clearing and forestry mulching, which was my entry into land clearing. High barrier to entry. The guy down the road can't start this business. He can't afford the insurance. I can because of Amazon. He can't afford the equipment. It's $200,000 entry point for the equipment to do that job. I can because of Amazon. The work required, it's hard work. You spend 8-10 hours in one of those machines in a day, it beats you to death. Yeah, my machine's got Bluetooth radio, heated seat, cooled seats, air conditioning. It's got all the stuff. It still beats you to death. It breaks. My brand new machine breaks regularly. If you don't like getting out of the machine, getting yourself and your hands covered with grease from top to bottom, figuring out how to fix something in the field, if you're not willing to do that work, again, barrier to entry. So we landed on that. Thought, yes, that looks, it fits all the niches. You know, if I'm right and the AI doom happens, we've still got a protected niche for at least a while. And like I said, it sounds silly to say, but I mean, in reality, even if the robots do come, I'll be positioned to just buy the robots and have them work for me. I won't be the one getting laid off. I mean, sad, I'll be the one laying people off. But you know, mine and my family's survival is my goal. So point being though, that it fit, it sounded good. Boom, that's where we went.
Nice. And that, you know, that reminds me of the conversation that we had with Nick Huber, you know, that his book Sweaty Startup, you know, that was kind of the niche, you know, make yourself more valuable by positioning yourself in a place where AI can't take it away from you.
Yeah.
It's real smart. So you said something, you mentioned when someone offers you money to do something, you figure out how to do it, which I love. I love the high agency of that statement. You had jobs lined up before you even had equipment. So how do you validate demand? What's that advanced proof of concept before you commit 6 figures of money into equipment?
Test the market before you do anything. Test the market. A lot of there's a huge trend of Amazon sellers getting into private label. You know, test the market, right? You want to start your own product, your own supplement brand. Test the market. How do you test the market? build a web page, pay for SEO, start running Facebook ads. It's that simple. Well, I don't want to spend that money. Okay, well, then fail. I mean, it's that simple. But again, Amazon gave me the cushion to do that. I contacted a guy on X that I got referred to that's really good at Facebook ads. I told him this is what I want to do. He gave me a monthly price. I didn't blink because I had Amazon profits. I tested the market with Facebook ads for a month before I bought the equipment. And I was going out on so many bids and answering so many calls. I'm like, yep, okay, this works. Got to figure out how to execute on this now because I don't want to say no to all this work. You got to test the market. If the market's not there, don't do it. But you got to test the market.
So if the market wasn't there, I'm curious about how the confidence of the revenue generation that Amazon provided you. Is it going to roll off your back if your market test fails? Do you just move on to the next sweaty position?
Listen, that's again, this is not ego talking. It's just very simple math, right? Let's just call it $2,000. I'm going to spend $2,000 to test the market on something. I spend 2 months working with somebody smart, running Facebook ads, doing SEO, doing some search volume testing to see if what I have planned is going to work. At the end of 2 months, it's not going to work. I'm out $2,000. That's money well spent because you just saved yourself from running down a road with a dead end. You know, yeah, you don't have the $2,000 in your pocket, but you just saved yourself from whatever sunk cost spending the next 18 months trying to beat something up that wasn't going to work. I got lucky. I picked a market that was ripe for the picking. And again, I part of my market test was, local demand, right? Is there anybody else doing what I'm doing? Can I beat them? So it was an intelligent decision to an intelligent calculus to go that direction. But like again, if you spend the money to test the market and find out that it's not going to work for whatever reason, that's still money well spent because it just saved your rear end. And again, if you've got profits from Amazon, you're still working the W-2 paying your bills. Does it sting to lose $2,000? Yeah. I mean, it never stops stinging to lose money. Just like when you go to make a bad buy for Amazon, it never not stings, but it's less detrimental when you've got the cushion.
That's great. That's a great point.
Yeah. I had other questions, but I think maybe what's more important for this part of the conversation is with Amazon, it's like all the information is out there. Now, I'm sure that there is a ton of information on how to start a land clearing business that's out on the internet. And if I started looking for it, it would probably start getting fed to me, just like Amazon started getting fed to you. But let's say I've got that $2,000 and I want to go and I want to try something else. Can you walk us through the ideation process? Because I'm not sure that a lot of people know. Like I know this, because I need to soft wash my house. I've got, I live in Florida, so there's mildew. You live in a humid climate. You know how that is.
Yep.
And so my whole thought process was, well, I could go hire someone to do this, but I've got a couple of kids and I got a 2-story house. I know that I don't want them up on a ladder. I don't get up on ladders because I'm not going to break something if I fall. So how can I solve that problem? Well, it's easy to go rent a lift. It's cheap to rent a lift. It's also fairly cheap to rent a bulldozer. You can get one for less than $1,500 a week here in Florida.
Yep.
But people don't know that. So how do you go through that ideation process to figure out, I'm going to take my profits and I'm going to test X market?
Yeah. I follow the great Scott Adams philosophy. Scott Adams Dilbert, just recently passed away. He taught a lot of things. One of the things he said though is going after your passion is probably, I'm paraphrasing, right? But his philosophy is going after your passion is probably stupid. Go after what you're good at, right? So the ideation phase for us went like this. First, where do we want to be in 10 years? Financially, really just financially. Where do we want to be in 10 years? And let's work backwards from there. Well, I love to fish. I've got a boat. I fish as much as I can, which is not much these days, but I love to fish. I don't think fishing is going to make me money, right? I mean, maybe it would if I could become a professional fisherman, but that's like saying maybe I could, make money being a professional NBA player, right? The percent chances, it's just not there. It's just not there. So stop focusing on what you love to do. Figure out where you want to be. Figure out what you're good at. Figure out how to get there. And again, just start filtering through stuff. And like we've talked about, maybe Amazon is the way, right? So you think, I love to shop. I like to find good deals. I don't mind packing and shipping and labeling. Well, there you go. Give it a shot. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you've got that $2 and you want to test in something. For us, part of the calculus was again service-based business, not currently ripe for disruption by AI. Okay, so we've niched it down. Service-based. Do we want to start a cleaning agency? No, I do not want to start a cleaning agency. I've already told you guys I don't like managing people. That's all managing people. You've got to find the cleaners, schedule the cleaners, talk to the cleaners, follow up with the. Nah, I don't want to do that. Chris, you mentioned pressure washing, soft washing. Okay, let's look at that niche. What's the cost of entry? What's the cost of operation? Seems pretty good. What's the potential scalability, right? Because we've already determined where we want to be. Can we scale that to get where we want to be? And again, start answering the questions. For us, the land clearing ticked all the boxes, right? In fact, I made contact with a local construction company that does a lot of land clearing. I've actually become real good friends with the owner. We talk via text message almost daily at this point. He's got a small family operation. He's got employees. They closed 2025 at 1.4 million in revenue. And again, Amazon seller, you hear that 1.4 million, that's nothing. And construction businesses run at 40 to 50% margin. So it ain't nothing. It's good. So yeah, there you go. That could scale to get us where we want to be. That's the ideation phase. Data driven, man. Just use data to help you make your decisions. Write it down. Where do I want to be? I want to be making $10 million a year by the time I'm 50. Cool. You can do it. Work backwards. Figure out what's going to get you there. What can scale? What won't be disrupted? What you're good at? Those are all part of the discussions. Just work backwards.
Beautiful.
All right. So we have questions on AI. However, I am curious about your thought process. You mentioned earlier that you were an AI doomer, have been for a while. Was that a unique perspective, or is that common back when you were doing IT?
No, it's very common if you're in the right circles, right? So Anthropic has internal studies. They don't hide these studies. You can go find them right now. They estimate their models will have the capability. Now, again, when we get into this conversation, let's be very, very clear that what I'm saying could happen may not happen that way. But Anthropic thinks that their models will have the capability to eliminate 50% of information-based jobs by the end of 2026. Now, listen, yes, it takes a lot of time for that to ripple through the economy. They may be wrong. They may have a competing study that comes to a different conclusion. But in the right circles, this has been known for several years now. We, in my W-2, started selling solutions several years ago with the sales hook, we think this can eliminate this portion of your internal workforce. So listen, it's when I say I'm an AI doomer, I may be on the extreme end of the doom, but it's based on data that's real. And the sentiment is shared. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm optimizing for not being wrong.
Yeah, so it's based on data and apparently marketing information too. Like
Yeah.
when you flat out present it that way, I guess the signal's pretty clear.
Yeah.
So you have 20 years in the Microsoft ecosystem, several years specifically on AI, and then you moved to Amazon. So I'm curious about that overlap. When you look at how Amazon sellers use AI today, what's signal and what's noise?
Okay. So this is a fun part of my discussion. All of it's noise, all of it. Listen, I don't want to call anybody specific out. Everybody's got a job to do. They've got a business to support. They're trying to find their hook. 99.9% of the stuff that you and your listeners are seeing on X right now is slump. It's junk. It doesn't work the way they say it's going to work. It's not going to work. They say it's the way it's going to work. And I know this for a fact because of what they're saying. It's probably more difficult for the average person to pick up on because they don't see the signals. Oh, I built 7 agents that helped me 10x my revenue in the last week. No, you absolutely did not. I've been. This is a slow time right now for any land-based job because it's the dead of winter. I quit my W-2. I've been no W-2 for 3 weeks now. I've spent probably 120 hours in the last 3 weeks just diving deep into what I want my AI solution to be for my business verticals. And I'm only that far right now. It takes time to build these systems.
Yeah, that's been a common theme that's coming up. There's a lot of hype. I can't imagine the percentage of people that have clean desktops thanks to Claude Cowork now. The execution is and then the actual use cases are usually something different. So you've said everyone talking about AI is talking about action. No one's talking about data. And you say which, of course, you proposition which one was more important. And I think we know the answer. However, can you explain that to sellers who hear it and don't quite understand it?
Yeah. And let's position this conversation in the context of your audience, right? Who's probably going to be majority Amazon sellers. You as an Amazon seller are sitting already, hopefully, on the most valuable data that you could possibly need. And that is your sales patterns. What did you find? What did you buy it for? Did you buy it? Did you not buy it? Did you record a reason for the decision? Either way. Then, when did it sell? How much did it sell for? And what was the outcome? Were you correct in your assessment? Were you incorrect in your assessment? That is, by the way, if you're not recording that, start today. Every single lead you evaluate. What is it? Where is it from? How much did it cost when I found it? Did I buy it? How many did I buy? What am I expecting it to sell it for? What was my buying decision? Then follow up. When did it sell? What did it sell for? How long did it take to sell? And did my decision meet, or did the sale meet my expectations? Record all of that. Start now. If you're not recording that, you're behind, because all of those data points are going to make your eventual adoption of AI that much smarter. If you had that data for the last 2 or 3 years of your purchase history, you could hook into an agent, build it right now, and do pattern analysis of your bots. So a lot of people think, oh, we're going to use AI to predict the market. No, you're not. You're absolutely not. Wall Street's been trying to do market prediction with 140 IQ people, supercomputers, and AI models for the last 10 years, and they still can't do it. Market prediction is impossible. Chris prediction, though, is possible. It's possible with the data you got right now, and you can validate your patterns, whether or not they're working. And then you can do predictive analysis on your patterns to figure out when you find something, whether or not it's a smart buy. Make sense?
Sure does. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I want to make this as simple as possible because I'm just a caveman. So all of that in a spreadsheet does the trick. Is that all you need?
So yes. So listen, let's kind of back up even a little bit right now, because direct answer to your question, yes. You just record it somewhere. You can clean it later if necessary. AI will help you clean it if necessary. So just start recording it. But let's even back up, right? Like let's say I'm a SMB. I'm a small Amazon seller. I want to figure out how to implement AI. Use case engineering is where you need to start. Don't go buy an AI product, download an AI product, sign up for a Claude subscription, and then start telling it to do everything. Stop right there. Individual, isolated use cases. Start with the simplest ones, figure those out, make sure they work, move to the next one, then the next one. Start chaining those together, and then your system will get bigger and smarter over time. But let me give you an example of a real easy use case to start with. And again, these need to be simple to begin with until you understand how the output from the agent is going to be and whether or not it's good. Like, I don't know about you guys, my inbox that I use for my Amazon seller account, it's a nightmare. That's a great use case right there. Inbox organization, nothing but. Don't do anything else. Let's just organize. Let's have an agent go in and take all my Amazon has shipped these following products to your customers. Let's organize them somewhere. There's a product health alert right there, or a account health alert. You've got an IP complaint. I want to see that instantly. I don't want that to get lost. Get an agent to help you gain visibility and organization into your inbox. Fantastic use case. There's immediate ROI benefit to that by freeing up some of your time, surfacing problems faster. And that's something you can build on, right? Once the inbox is organized, think of the next thing. Lead consolidation, right? Let's say that you sign up for and you've got several lead lists that you sign up for. All right, I want an AI agent. Stop thinking dashboards, stop thinking visualizations. Simple. I want an AI agent to very simply grab these sources of leads and consolidate them into a single spreadsheet. Right there, immediate ROI. And again, you're building small use cases that do have, and it's a small impact at first, but that's going to start building on each other. Because again, take the lead consolidation. Next thing you know, in a month, you're going to think, well, crud, I've got all my leads in one place. I wonder if I could have the agent rank them based on something. There you go, your next use case. And you've already got the data in a single spot. You don't have to go tell it to look at all these data sources. You've already got one agent consolidating. Now you've got an agent that goes and ranks them for you based on some criteria, which, and again, your brain will start moving. You'll say, how do I rank them? Well, Keepa has an API. Have your agent hook into the Keepa API and enhance all of that data in your spreadsheet with Keepa data. Wait, next, I want an email every morning with summaries. There you go. You're building right there. That's to me, in my opinion, that's the way to do it. That's how we do it for customers, right? In the enterprise world, right? You go into a customer with terabytes of data across flat files, documents, databases, APIs. There's a cliche statement that gets thrown around in projects. don't boil the ocean. You never boil the ocean first. You got to start out with a cup of water, right? Let's think of something to start with that's simple, easy, proves value, and we build on that.
That's great. Don't boil the ocean.
Yeah, I like that. That is helpful, because there is so much coming at us that I think everyone wants to try everything they possibly can. It's not possible.
No, and listen, and what it does is, if you build an agentic AI system based on all of that too fast, you're actually going to get bad output from the system, and you're going to be making incorrect decisions based on its output, because you didn't fine tune the individual actions at the beginning. Slow, or what's the saying? Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. That's the way you want to grow AI adoption. Enterprises have been doing this for years, the exact same way. All of us in the SMB space, even Amazon sellers, shouldn't think we're any different. The tools are just more readily available to us now. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. That's how you need to do adoption. And if listen, don't think you're behind the curve. You're not. You're absolutely not. Most Amazon sellers aren't going to start looking at this for the next 18, 24 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a very small amount of Amazon sellers who are on X.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot more on Instagram and on Facebook. And again, they're going to be months behind the curve,
if not years.
Yeah. So let me ask this. You've talked about how people need to be careful implementing AI and all of that. How do we tell the difference between like a real tool that will be helpful versus something that's just a chatbot wrapped in some good marketing?
Yeah. So there's a couple ways that I evaluate tools for my use, right? So if it's open source, is the community active, and is the repository where the tool active? So let's pull it out. The tool that has taken X by storm in the last 6 weeks, Claude, right? You need to pay attention. OpenAI just hired that guy, by the way, yesterday, and has adopted OpenClaw into their ecosystem, and going to put open source foundation support behind it. You need to pay attention to that one. That's kind of evaluation, right? Somebody's little. So I'm not going to put my business decisions behind a GitHub project that has 2 contributors, 2 stars, and gets updated once a month. Not going to happen. Put your Claude Desktop. That's a good one. That's a really good one. It's got private support, huge company behind it. There's probably some really good reason to adopt that technology, and can do some really, really cool stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm fascinated by what's happening with OpenClaw.
The fastest growing GitHub project in the history of GitHub, faster than Linux. So it's a big deal.
I read an interesting stat, and I know some people who are listening aren't even going to know what GitHub is, but every GitHub project that has reached 100,000 stars has become a unicorn. And the fastest one was like 90 days until OpenClaw. OpenClaw got it in 5 days.
Yeah.
Could be the first 1-person $1 billion company. Insane.
It's insane and worth paying attention to. Look, I've talked to some really smart people in the Amazon ecosystem that look at stuff like this and think, not for me. And look, I get it. It's easy to get caught up in the hype train. It's super, super easy. Stuff like that, though, you need to pay attention to. And maybe you don't need to go download it right this second, put it in and start using it. But I think this is universal for any SMB, including resellers. You need to start paying attention to figure out when the integration makes sense for you. That's realistically the warning that I would put in. Enterprise is way ahead of us. They're years ahead of us with this, and that's the case for a lot of tech. But you do need to start paying attention.
So if you didn't believe it before, I think our conversation would probably give the idea that you believe that AI poses a bigger threat to OA than it does RA.
100%.
So, and I'm going to quote you here. You said nothing a bot can do about a Walmart store manager with a markdown budget and a bad attitude. Can you try to quantify that gap? Because there's the collective Twitter opinion, which, you know, maybe a little exaggeration on their actual implementation. What does that gap actually look like? Is it bigger or smaller than the hive mind at Twitter thinks?
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest. I do get caught up in the Twitter hive mind too, and I don't want to call it rage bait post, but you know, we all do it. We post to engage followers. That's the whole point of posting, right? Here's the reality, though, right? OA is primarily a data-driven process. Okay. Okay, Justin, no, I still have to receive the product. I still have to label it. I still have to pack it. I still have to ship it. Yes. When you buy it, how much you buy it for, how much you sell it for, what your hold time is. Those are data points. That's all they are. Right now, you're probably keeping a lot of that in your head. Maybe you've got it, some of it committed to a spreadsheet, but there's still data points. At some point, an agent can do that faster and better than you can. So the calculus becomes, do I sit around and wait for other people to do that for me? Or do I start integrating that now? Because I do think there is an expiration date on OA as it is right now. Now, I said in a post here recently responding to somebody, I don't remember who, I don't think it eliminates. I mean, you guys have talked about this on the podcast, right? Arbitrage as a concept is as old as time. As a concept, it doesn't go away. But there's going to be, in my opinion, a landscape shift on how that concept is executed when the accessibility of high reasoning tool sets can work at real time, 24 hours a day on those data-driven decisions. You know, can AI help me with my hold strategy? Sure can. Yes, it 100% can. Now, again, right now you want to be the overseer of all that and override it based on your decisions for your business. But you can start teaching it that. And if you start now, in a year, it'll be real good at it. 2 years, it'll be probably better than you at it. How? The data's there. Hook it into Keep. Pull historical sales data from Keep as API. Okay, Justin, that doesn't work for every product. Okay, big deal. Plug it into news outlets. Have it pull information on upcoming movie releases when products get hot. Have it do reasoning. Maybe this is a new, okay, so we're heavy toy sellers, right? Maybe your agent not just looks at history, but if this is a new toy, it equates the hype to patterns that match that release from previous toys. I mean, that's completely doable. And again, you might not trust it in the first 6 months. You might sort of trust it after 12 months. But after 24 months of doing that, training it, teaching it, and updating the feedback loop, it's going to be really good at it.
Now you, okay, so you walked us through the use cases. You talked about organizing your inbox, and you started at the bottom and you kind of stacked organization, and one stack kind of helps the next stack based on organization. Is that also important as we go through? I don't know how to put this. Is there going to be a consolidation? I'm talking about jumping from AI to AI, you know, like, because I started on Perplexity, I was slow to it, you know, and got ChatGPT. Now I'm using Claude more than any of the other ones.
Yeah.
So do you want to keep that in mind to keep your data clean and transferable? Is that an important part of the use cases?
It's very important, right? So a couple things there. First off, keep your data in an agnostic format. So Chris, you mentioned, do I just put that in a spreadsheet? Yeah. The spreadsheet's AI agnostic. All of them can read a spreadsheet. So keep your data to yourself, keep it local, keep it in a format that's agnostic to whatever AI product you're using. But this is also why, not the reason, but one of the reasons OpenClaw has been such a revolutionary step function in AI usage for SMBs and individuals, is because it's AI agnostic. You pick the model that you want it to use. In fact, it functions best when you give it options to hit Claude, OpenAI, maybe something local, and you steer it based on who's got the best at the time. But again, I think the more important thing is keep your data agnostic from the AI solution. That's the important piece for the entire thing is data. Do you have it, and are you storing it? Because at that point, as long as you've got the data and you're storing it, you can jump from solution to solution and be relatively safe. As soon as you ship that data off to a walled garden, like you give everything to Anthropic somehow. I mean, I don't know how, but if you did, you're stuck with Anthropic at that point. Keep your data. Your data is yours. It's what's the most valuable for your business's future use of AI.
And I asked Dylan a similar question when we talked to him. Do you see an up spiral power consolidation, or what do you think it looks like? Are we choosing between 2 or 3 companies to pay $500 or $5,000 a month?
Listen, this is the part of the reason why I'm an AI doomer, right? So here's the reality of AI with respect to like the large language models. There's probably about 100 humans out of, what we got, 8 billion on Earth. There's probably about 100 humans that are building these systems that know what are being built. There's probably about 20 that are making the decisions. Yes, there will be a power consolidation. There's a race going on right now between all the big players. They're throwing billions at AI, attempting to see who's going to win. They're throwing billions at a loss at AI. Listen, Claude's $200 a month max subscription loses them money. Guarantee you it does. I use more computing cycles with my Claude Max subscription that I should reasonably be able to use. But they're operating at a loss because they want to be the winner. The land clearing job that I just won, $90,000, 2 data centers. So again, it's yes, there's going to be a consolidation. There's only going to be a couple of winners. I don't know how many it's going to be. But your smartest play, again, is to keep your tool options open. Keep your data agnostic. Keep it with yourself. Don't ship it off to one of these players, and they next thing you know, you've got a full system built into a walled garden stack that you can't easily extract from, and they go out of business or get sucky. That's the more realistic option, is these other guys outrun them, and you're like, man, I wish I could move over to OpenAI solutions, but you're stuck over here.
Yeah, because there has to be a point where the revenue becomes a positive number. Right. So and when that happens, we've seen that when social media companies start offering stock to shareholders, the product gets worse because revenue becomes the primary goal.
Right. Again, don't get me started talking about investing, because that's not my niche, but right. Like, that's the idea, right? Why do you invest in an AI company right now? You don't invest to make money right now. You invest to hope that they're the winner, because that's really what the game is.
Interesting. All right, I want to shift a little bit to like how you balance it all, because if there's something that I've learned more than anything else, it's people who get into Amazon often do it for a very similar reason that you did. It is, I'm looking for maybe a way out of the W-2, or maybe I'm looking to just supplement my income a little bit, but then reality hits and they're like, well, how the heck do I have a family and a side business and my regular 9-to-5 job, etc. And I saw that you said a week after your last day at your 9 to 5, you said you're already seeing improvements across both of your businesses, just because you don't have to think about the job anymore.
Yep.
And of course, it made you wonder, like, why didn't you quit sooner?
Hmm.
But leading up to that, like, how did you do it? Like, what does a day-to-day actually look like? Or is it just, I've got to embrace the suck because this is the life I want?
You just said it. I mean, you said it because you know the answer. I know both of you guys know the answer. But for everybody else, the answer is you got to eat glass for 18 to 24 months. Just chew it, and just that's what you do. You big pile of rocks in front of you. You just got to chew them up. That's all you can do, right? How bad do you want it? You know, I tongue in cheek said, I wonder why I hadn't quit sooner. I know why I didn't quit sooner, because I had bills to pay. That's why I didn't quit sooner. You know, the reality is that the safe growth pattern is going to be 18 months to 24 months for most people of 12-hour work days, 6 to 7 days a week. Don't know what else to tell you. You know, I did it quicker and faster and easier. Congrats. I don't think most people can do that. Embrace the suck. I played on a cheat code. Not even going to sugarcoat it. I played on a cheat code. I have a stay-at-home wife that has been immensely helpful. I have 4 kids who are homeschooled. We get done with school in about 2 to 3 hours versus, you know, the 8-hour school day. I don't miss out on time with my kids. I don't miss out on time with my wife. Even when we're working, we're together. It's a cheat code. I get it. Your situation may not be the same. Again, how bad do you want it?
Yeah. All right. A follow-up to this is being nervous about spending money on inventory. You know, we've got the bills to pay, but this is, you know, we're using this as maybe a way out or whatever it is, or a way to make those bills easier to pay. How do you look at managing risk?
Yeah. So that's the core of starting any business, right? Is how comfortable are you with the risk? My wife and I started telling a joke, you know, between each other early in the Amazon business. You know, what's worse could happen? Bankruptcy. You know, and when you think about it, that's not too bad. I mean, yeah, it's bad, right? I get it, it's bad. But you're not gonna kill you. You know, the Gestapo's not going to show up your house and beat down your door and steal your kids and take your home if you made a couple of bad buys on Amazon. What's the worst that could happen, right? If you ask yourself that question, you're like, oh no, bankruptcy would be catastrophic. I can't do that. Okay, well then you don't have the risk tolerance, right? Again, how bad do you want it, right? I'm willing to accept some risk to get where I want to be in 10 years. You know, if you're not a risk averse person, or if you're a risk averse person, don't do it. You know, there's nothing wrong with staying in a W-2 job. Nothing wrong with it. That's a fantastic career choice, life trajectory for probably most people. But yeah, I mean, was spending money on Amazon inventory uncomfortable at first? Yeah. I mean, you know, that first time you go into a retail store and drop $1,000, you think, what in the world am I doing? You know, I've got a little phone here with Seller Amp on it, and I'm making this decision based on what this guy says. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It gets easier every time you do it.
Have you ever read Tim Ferriss's Fear Setting Exercise blog post? No. So what you said is exactly what this post is years and years old. And he talks about every month he sits down and based on the decisions that are in front of him or something that he wants to do, he says, what is the absolute worst that can happen? Can I tolerate that? And if I can, then okay, let's go forward.
Bingo.
Yeah, I like that. Great blog post, by the way.
So, I mean, super smart.
Yeah.
So I want to try to like synthesize your journey into advice for the person listening that wants to get out of their 9 to 5, right? They
Mhm.
want to drop those golden handcuffs. Your subplot was X led to Amazon. Amazon funded land clearing. Land clearing gave you the confidence to quit, right? And that subplot became the main plot. So thinking about how much of that was intentional, what would you tell somebody about the sequence? What would your recommendation be to somebody dying to get out of their 9 to 5?
Yeah. So the entire thing was intentional, right? Data-driven decisions, calculate risk, find people who have been down the road before, and use those smart people to bootstrap you. And pay them, right? Pay them. That's how you get the smartest people. Is you pay them. Smart people know what they're worth. So I need to learn how to use Keepa better. I think I might know a couple guys that have a Keepa course, so I need to know how to find leads better, man. All the information's out there, but you got to be calculated with it, right? We've been talking about this, the whole conversation is where do I want to be? Work backwards. It's that simple. And it's systems thinking. It's Scott Adams again. Systems thinking. You're not going to get where you want to be by hopes and dreams and wishes. You're not going to be able to go, I wish so hard. You've got to build systems and make decisions within those systems to get there. So just figure out what system gets you there, right? Again, risk aversion. How risk averse are you? Yeah, it's going to take some risk. My on to X, that was a calculated decision. I knew that was the place where the smartest people are. I'm going to go there, curate a feed of these smart people, follow them, see what they say, and then feed that into my network so I make the right decisions. And on that journey too. Oh, look, this guy's got a paid mentor group. Sign up. I like what he says, and I'm going to go get all his secret sauce out of his paid mentor group. These guys over here have a Keepa course. Boop, sign up for that. Those are all acceleration tools. And again, I can't spend $100 a month for a mentorship. Okay, I mean, you can't spend $100 a month for a quality mentorship, and you're saying you want to go spend $10,000 on inventory. Make it make sense. These are easy decisions when you really break them down to their core problems that they're solving.
Mm-hmm. It's funny you mentioned Scott Adams. I just watched a video of his recently, and he talks about, instead of thinking about the work, that's going to make you reluctant. That's friction. He goes, think about the payoff of once it's done, and use that to propel yourself to get in to the middle part of it. So it's kind of exactly what you're saying. You're reluctant to spend $100 on a course. Well, it's like, don't think about the $100. And it also echoes your test buy. That's money well spent, even if it doesn't work out. Because now
Yep. Money spent on lessons are just as important as money spent on inventory. 100%.
All right. We always like to do a little bit of a lightning round. What is maybe the most contrarian piece of advice that you'd give a newer Amazon seller that you think everyone on X would disagree with you about?
I don't know if everybody on X would disagree with me on this. I think the smartest sellers would actually agree with this. Start with less money than more. Start small. There's a huge danger before you know what you're doing of saying, oh, I've got $10,000 saved up. I'm going to go sink that all into capital or cost of goods. No, bad idea. Start with $100. See if you can turn that 100 into 120. I only made $20. No, you proved the concept. Next month, spend $200. And then at 20% margin, you just made $40. Now the next month, go spend $500. See, it's just math. Percentages work that way. Start with less money than more.
I like that. Yeah, because it's not too long after that you're playing with house money.
Exactly.
If you could do that.
Yeah. What's a book, podcast, or even a piece of content that's had a meaningful impact on your life or your business just within the last, say, 6 months?
I saw you guys were going to ask this, and I went and got the book.
Ooh.
Cold calling sucks, and that's why it works. And not just for salespeople. Listen, if you're in business for yourself, you are in sales. End of discussion. If you don't think you are, you've already framed yourself incorrectly. If you are a business owner, you are in sales. I don't care if you're calling suppliers. I don't care if you're calling customers. This book changes the way cold calling sucks. It does. Calling a supplier, calling a customer, calling a partner, business partner, get over it. It's an important skill for any business owner to have. I read my Bible every day. I think everybody should, but that's a core to everything I do.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, man, I like your thought process on that book, especially. Yeah. I mean, that stuff works even if you're just going in to talk to managers.
Yes,
and
exactly.
It's something we don't, in a society where we're more and more online, it becomes a skill that is fewer and further between.
100%. And you mentioned talking. Yes, you know how to scale RA. Go make friends with all your Walmart managers. It sucks making the contact. Just do it.
Yeah.
Or learn how to convince your spouse that it's a good idea to do this full time. Like even that. I mean, it's all, we need to reframe the icky sales. It's all sales.
What's the best purchase that you've made under $500 in the last year? Can be personal or business.
I'm sitting on it. I don't remember if it was under $500, but my Secret Labs office chair, I don't mind sitting at my chair anymore. It's super high quality. It's not as expensive as like a steel case. Or all those high-end office chairs, but I can sit in a chair in my office for 8 straight hours now doing work. Doesn't bother me.
Interesting. It may be time to get rid of the lazy boy. I may have to look that up. Where should people go follow you and like learn more about you, or maybe follow along the journey of you building your businesses?
Yeah, I'm on X. I'm not as at flipping number 4 gold. I'm not as active as I should be. I really believe in personal brand building, so based on that, I should be posting out there more. I'm busy with 2 other businesses. That all being said, I am going to try to post there more often to just let people know what's going on. Again, I'm not selling anything direct, but I do believe in the value of a personal brand in this modern era. So my goal is within 2026 to post more.
But I enjoy your posts, so I hope you do.
Cool.
I always learn something. We always end with a quote of the week, and I thought this one hit the mark. It's the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. It's from Walt Disney, but I specifically chose this because as I did the research for this episode, like your entire arc, or if you want to call it your hero's journey, it's sort of, action over analysis paralysis. Like you bought the equipment before you knew how to drive it. You had giant jobs lined up before you had a business in place. And Disney kind of did the same thing. He built himself an entire empire with that same bias toward action. So I thought this one fit. Dude, this was fantastic. This was a great conversation. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us.
Anytime. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thanks so much, man. All right. Until the next episode, everybody, good selling. Thanks for listening to Clear the Shelf with Chris and Chris. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a screenshot on your phone and share to Facebook, Instagram, or your favorite FBA group. And be sure to tag me and let me know why you liked it and what you'd like to hear more from us in the future. Also, I'd like to give you some free gifts for listening. Head over to rabbittrailchallenge.com and repricerchallenge.com for some free courses to further your business. Thanks for listening.